Welcome to the TIP podcast. TIP stands for the Transformative Ideas and People podcast. And today we're going to be speaking to none other than Jason Gold. He's one of my really cool friends. In fact, he helped me build the logo for Vegan Bear, which is a restaurant I ran for a year in Toronto, downtown nice. Toronto. He was vegan himself. He's a musician, a busker, just all-rounded, really creative, really cool individual. And the reason we're talking to Jason today because he has survived a very peculiar type of issue he went through called leukemia. We're going to talk to him today. He's in his really cool bedroom studio, as you can see. So how's it going, Jason? How are you?
It's good. It's good to see your face, man. It literally turned winter last night. So I was out just getting my groceries delivered, and I'm like, not bad weather, eh? It's like, yeah, just turned frozen all of a sudden.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm out in Seattle, and it's been colder here than Toronto. I've been checking the temperature. Right now, I just got back from the gym, and it was like, there was sleet, like frozen water, you know? Not quite snow, but it's crazy, man.
Is that supposed to happen in Seattle?
It gets pretty cold here in Seattle, but like this time it's been colder than usual, I'd say, so it is what it is. But anyways, Jason, I want to get right into this so people can know. Can you explain how long ago did you get leukemia? How long has it been?
Well, yeah, that's always a funny question because, well, I found out about it pretty much 2022. Whoa, 2022. Like July 2022. July, August,
okay.
November. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just turned January now.
Almost 2 years ago, a year and a half or so ago.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That was the diagnosis day, and I was, I guess I'm like the question is, yeah, that's the answer for that. Yeah.
Okay, and what is leukemia exactly? If you were to just give a little brief summary to people.
Yeah, basically, I even know what the word's made out of. So Luke means light, which is funny, and hemia, hemoglobin, that's okay. Blood, right? So it literally means light blood, but the reason they named it that is because of someone's name and everything, but it's basically the blood, has many components to it. So there's, the plasma, there's the neutrophils, there's the oxygen, and so basically with leukemia, it's very common for you to have low energy because you don't have enough oxygen being created in your blood. So I don't know if my blood was like that all the time, like when I was a kid, and all it has to do with like measuring these levels as to what's normal and what's abnormal. So basically, let me give you my count. So in the blood count, we have a thing called the neutrophils, and that's a marker for essentially your immune system in one way, but it's a marker of your blood. So if you do blood work, you'll see, hemoglobin, neutrophils, white blood cells. So my level when I was admitted to hospital was like less than 10. And when somebody asked me how did that usually look, because we don't even know how you're up and about right now, because how are you even alive? But I didn't know anything about that, right? I knew nothing. So I thought 10, like 10 out of 10, 1 to 10, is that good? And I said it's not. 10 is not good. So basically it was always 10 going down to nothing. So that's why at that time like usually when you find out something's up, like you'll get extremely lethargic, right? So I literally had trouble walking down the street. Like I'd get halfway, I'd had to hang onto a tree, and I'd be like, I can't breathe. I have no energy, and that's because the oxygen in your blood is the thing that gives all your vital organs the ability to do what they do, right? So the oxygen level was just not there, therefore everything can start failing. So the good news is, because I found that out, I was able to do something about it, but I didn't know what was happening to me. I just thought I was exercising too much and that I got winded. And then I noticed it every once in a while, and then I was getting slower and weaker. And there are all of these things that are kind of the effects that leukemia can give you as a hint that something's wrong with your blood. And so when I ended up in the emergency room, because I literally like almost collapsed, and then everyone said, you're pale as a ghost and something's not right. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm cool. I just need to sit back for a bit. Like, no, you need to go to the hospital. So when I ended up there and they did the blood test and the count, they were like, you might have leukemia. And I thought, oh shit, I just thought that means I'm dead, actually, because I didn't know what it meant. Right? But it can mean that, right? Because leukemia, for instance, I found out this, there was this kid who got leukemia and it affected his eyes. So say no oxygen's getting to your eye. So his eyes kind of atrophied, like they didn't work properly, and then he went blind. So that's what's scary about it. Like I caught it early on. I already knew my breathing was messed up, and I thought it was because I was doing too much, because I was like going to school. I was, and it was like this intense course that was all compressed. So I was like always trying to get to school and study and go there, and I just thought, oh, I'm just like pushing myself too hard. But I'm like, no, there's something else. There's something else going on. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a blessing that I ended up there. And then they did verify it after they did all the lab tests and stuff. And then I was still like, what does this mean now? Like, is this
that's pretty,
the end?
That's pretty crazy, Jason.
Yeah.
How long were you in the hospital for? Like, a full year long? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. And I was in and out too. So even when I was out, so this is what happens. The problem was I started to do this. There's many different types of therapies that exist. Yeah. And I chose to do one of the harshest ones. Not that I wanted to, but out of the options. This is what was interesting. They said, you're kind of young, so if you were 70, we probably wouldn't advise this therapy because you couldn't take it, like your body couldn't take it. So I thought, okay, if you do this very harsh round of chemotherapy, it's going to be like, let's get at it as hard as we can with all these drugs and things, and like kill it and push it out. And I went through all these side effects, like all these skin rashes, and
oh my gosh,
you could go blind with all of these medications, all these wafers I essentially had to sign. And after that, it didn't work. So I was like,
so you couldn't see? You mean you got blinded?
No,
like
that's one of the possible side effects with the amount of the drugs can affect your body. So I had to do these eye drops during that time, just in case my eyes were gonna get all wacky. So thankfully that didn't happen, right? But the good thing, speaking on behalf, as strange as it is, when you take these like harsh chemicals, they have other drugs to combat the side effects, which is what's scary, right? Because you signed on to do these drugs, and it said this could give you this, diarrhea, you could lose your eyesight, a long list. You're gonna do it, right? And you're like, okay. You're like, don't worry, we have all these other drugs that'll help if that becomes a problem. And I'm like, but I've never gone through this, so yes or no? Do I have any choices? And that was the tricky thing, because I said, we got to act on it now. And I was just like, what is this? I just found out about this yesterday. Like, do you want to do this, or this? So I just had to, go with what was available out of the choices I had. And I could have said I regretted that choice, because I had extreme scarring of my body, like all of this redness and this purple blotches all over my skin after all of that first round. And that was a drug that I was getting intravenously put into me. So that's what's intense. Like, the reason it's intravenous is because it's already intense, right? If we're going to put this in you another way, it's better to just do it like this, or else it'll do something else to whatever. And that was called cytarabine. That's used for many other cancer treatments, but I was like, well, that wasn't fun. That was painful. That was the one that I felt like the fluid in my veins were just full of pain, ready to explode. And then I couldn't really walk, because
that's an intense feeling.
Yeah, the pain and the atrophying of being in the bed, not walking. Then you have to do this calisthenics, and then you're in this pain now. So imagine if you filled your veins with liquid so they feel tight, and then that also is painful, like, consistently. So you're just sitting there like, okay.
My goodness.
So every day I had to get up and go, Jason. Every time you stood up, you're like, oh God. And they're like, you have to do this, because if you don't, like, your muscles will atrophy. So they were like, you can't just lay in bed. I know it's painful. And I'm like, I know I signed up for this. And it's varying degrees of pain, no matter who you are. But that was the first treatment, right? Which by the end of it, I just didn't even have time to really soak it in. It was just like, it's gotten worse. Cancer's proliferated more. You have more cancer now. And I was like, okay, what else do we do now? And I quickly went, what do we do now? And it could have been really depressing, right? But I just thought, okay, now we know that I'm not going to do that anymore, and I'm still suffering from that. And then it was, okay, let's try a different thing, doc. And this other one was like more pills and injections to the stomach. That was, it was better, but it was still intense in a different way. So I was running out of space in my stomach, right? Because they had all these injection sites. And it was like 7 needles in my stomach, like every couple of days. I can't even believe this all happened within that year. It was so intense. And I was like, the other one didn't have needles? That had intravenous painful veins. This one is just like, it's time. And I'm like, do we have to? And then it's like, you got to do it to yourself now. It's better if you learn how to do it to yourself. And I'm like, I don't want to inject this stuff.
Jason, I want to know, was this, as a Canadian in Canada, was this all covered by the government?
The second treatment was not. So I, by miracle of my awesome doctor, this second treatment, I went with it because it was more gentle, but it had a high success rate. But the drug technically hadn't been, what's it called? By the Board of Medicine, whatever it's called, allowed in Canada yet. But in Europe, it had been effective for at least the last 5 years. It had been used, and there's been significant remission status with it. So I actually had to, my doctor had to find a compassionate donor. And so just even doing your podcast, right, just to help spread awareness. Like, it's like, because an amazing who knows donor person helped me cover all of that, and it's quite a pricey thing. Like, even some of my medicine, like,
how much?
Like, it's
how much
just
was
like,
it that they donated?
Oh, it's It's a lot. And even all of the things I went through, like money wise, were a lot. Like stem cells is the other one after all of this, right? So I would say the second part of the journey is when it went wrong and we switched to this one. But I didn't know if I could do it, right? Because it's like, well, we can't just do it because we need like someone to fund that. And but he was confident he could find somebody, and he's amazing. He's wow. I don't know if I should say his name out here, but I mean, speaking in a good thing. But he did a lot of things, right? He's also like.
Well, what is his name? Why not?
Yeah, he's Dr. Carpentier.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so
Is
I didn't even.
Is he a popular doctor?
Well, my dad said he Googled him and he said he's a busy guy. He's like part-time, like a teacher assistant at UFT also, and doing all of this, and looking at the latest.
He's a cancer research professor at UFT or something like that.
I don't know exactly what he was doing, but in the medical profession at UFT, there's lots of different branches of medicine. So he was helping assist teaching something in the medical profession for UFT University.
I want to know, switching back to the money part, I just like the fact, I really like the fact that in Canada we can get at least basic treatments for a lot of things,
Very true.
Even if you're completely broke, whatever, homeless, so I'm just curious, what percentage of your entire treatment was covered by OHIP, by Ontario Health?
Yeah, it's it was a lot of it, actually, most of it.
What would you say, like 70%, 80%?
Yep.
Okay. And that other percentage was donated by some donor?
Yeah, for that treatment, which was my third treatment, that was the one where it's like, you're going to have to pay for this if we can get it and get everyone to agree this is what we're going to do. So there's a lot of the bureaucracy of, like, for us to even be considered, I have to have tried this and realized that didn't work. And I would have had to go through all of these options. And it's like, okay, is there anything else we can do beyond clinical trials? And I didn't want to do clinical trials, understandably. Things that haven't really got any data.
What do you think was the estimated cost of your entire treatment up until now?
It would be difficult for me to say. I'd have to get all my huge files out, and I have no idea.
Would it be in the hundreds? Have you seen bills? Would it be in the hundreds?
I mean, just even my hospital stay was insane. Like when I was billed for it, and I had to say, "Hey, I don't agree to this." It was insane. Like I was just like, I literally telling you, if I wasn't in this country, I might be a goner right now, because I wouldn't be able to afford any of this. So it's not even the treatment, right? Like from being in the hospital for the hospital room fee.
And you're getting food, you're getting everything.
Yeah, that was a hefty sum for even a couple of months. It was like, shoot, man, what am I gonna do? But then we had to talk to people. Would you say
it would be upwards to hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Yeah.
In your entire, easily, right?
Yeah. So it's really interesting because it is an industry, right? So even the things that I agreed to do, there's a lot of studies tied to get the data from me. So the funny thing was, one of my nurses at the end, when I was doing the stem cell transplant, that's way down the line. That's the third thing we did after things were not improving. Basically, the second one I did.
Yeah.
The drug was the injection and the pills, which was called venetoclax, and even sounds like it's from space. I was like, yeah, that's what I'll do. Or I was like, it sounds like a prehistoric bird. But that's how I remembered it. And that one definitely brought my counts to, well, I was still at zero. I had nothing. I was on. So literally it was like, the reason I was alive and functioning is because I kept getting blood transfusions.
Wow.
Yeah, every
Really?
day. So, like
Oh,
right
wow.
now, I'm still doing what's called a phlebotomy, where I have to rid my body of iron because I've had, geez, hundreds and hundreds of blood transfusions like every other day, right? So,
Wow.
so people remembered me. I joked with the nurses I'm on the tour of the hospitals because I kept going to other hospitals and landing in other emergency rooms. But when I first landed in there, I was wearing a maroon suit because I just came from the suit store. I was like doing co-op with Sir Monsieur, and they were. I literally just came from there, and then I ended up at the hospital. So I was wearing a suit, and then I had all these IVs stuck to me, like all over my hands, and blood transfusion for 24 hours. Like get this guy's counts up so he can function because I had no oxygen.
My gosh.
So I literally, it was a blur to me. Like within 24 hours, I had how much blood, through my body, and in the last year or so, I don't know how many people came through that. So my joke with my musician friend is like, on a spiritual level, it's like maybe I really did become Vibration of the One. Like many people's blood has helped me be alive.
That's
Weird.
true. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
and I
thankful
started to
all these
think,
people
how does that
donated
affect?
blood. Oh
How does
my
that
gosh.
affect you?
Wow.
And that
So
was a journey in
thankful to all
itself because
Yeah.
you can get reactions from blood. So I got one of the common things you can get if your blood types don't jive together, right? Is you can get all of these reactions and hives. So I had to go through that. Like all of a
Wow,
sudden I'm
really?
like,
You had
whoa,
reactions at some
yeah, I
times?
got some really bad, like crazy pictures, or when I showed it to people, I'm like, oh my god, it's like you're turning into Gollum or something. Like these huge bumps are coming out of my head. And
Oh
I
my
was like,
gosh.
and then you need other drugs to, well, they have to figure out which drugs to give you to calm that down. And then, yeah, it's a very long story. Like if we want to
Yeah.
focus on the
No, I know,
difficulties,
no.
but if we want to focus on,
This is insane. No, I was just gonna tell you, man. Like, thankful to all these people that donated blood.
exactly, yeah.
Listen, I have never donated blood in my life, and the reason is I went to a donation center and I was going to, but I'm just shit scared because most of my life I have like fainted. Even if they do the blood test, like I have fainted. So giving blood is like a lot more blood. You know what I mean? So, but I feel like I still need to do it. I need to get through that fear, and I need to do it because I see how valuable and important it is.
Yeah, and I think that's
amazing, man.
Just want to thank you too, man, because in between all of that, you're messaging me like, hey, I want to come visit. And I was just like, how to explain my topsy-turvy world of emergencies. It's always something different. Yeah. So, like the first round, or when I first got put in to live in the hospital, basically, the way I kept up my sense of humor, just like joking, I had my guitar with me still. Funnily enough, the rooms I was situated in were like, I don't know how I ended up in those rooms, but people would come in and be like, oh, you scored the nicest room in the hospital. You're like in the penthouse of the hospital. I'm like, I am? It's like, yeah, usually you're like this, crushed next to all these other beds. And I'm like, oh, well, it's been helping me relax, right? But then I lived through, that they kept saying like, oh, if someone else needs this, you're going to have to demote you from the penthouse to another one. But it was true when I went to the other rooms. I really missed that room. You can see all of downtown university.
I saw your story. I saw your Insta story. You're up in the penthouse. It looked incredible.
Yeah, I was looking too.
I'm like, you deserve that, man. But Jason, I want to know. We have about 8 minutes left here on the timer. But what I really want to know, and I feel like what most people want to know, right, from something like this, is the most important part is how the hell did you get through this? What was your mental? Man. I know you just mentioned right now. You mentioned right now humor. I know you're humorous. You got your music, but when move your body for mostly a year and a half. You can't do much.
Yeah.
You're getting all these bumps on your skin. Like, what was the mental strategy? Like, what did you exactly do to stay strong?
It was meditation, right?
Most people would give up. You know what I mean?
It was meditation, and I'd say a big part of it because I was already a meditator before that, right? So even when I told people I couldn't basically walk to school, it got worse and worse and worse. I told people I was listening to, you know, mantras like over and over, like on loop for every step, or like the Superman theme song, like on loop, like every step that I was taking. And it's just a practice of meditation, right? It was just like to let go of all thoughts and just be okay. Just be like, I don't have to engage those thoughts right now.
You were able to put your earphones on, or you had the nurses put earphones on you?
Oh no, I could do that. Yeah.
You could put your earphones on and play your music. Okay.
Yeah, you're allowed to bring, you know, things if you're gonna go live in the hospital. First, I didn't because I thought, oh, I'm supposed to do all this stuff. It's not my house or anything, right? But they said you're gonna be here for a while, so you might wanna, you know, get some furniture or something, and they're kind of like you haven't.
So meditation, music, mantras,
journaling.
What else? What was the main mental? Like, what did you tell yourself every day, day and night, to stay alive and not give up?
Basically, it was you had to understand what was going on. So first, I didn't tell anyone because I had no idea what was going on. So when I actually got an understanding of what's going on in my body and what are my choices and what do I have to head to next, what's my aim, my definite chief aim towards, and so initially, like in the first treatment, it was like, okay, just live through the first round of chemotherapy, see what happens, and see what happens to my blood work and everything.
Yeah.
And then that was the aim, and then that aim, even though, you know, every day I was focusing on just like even just standing up. Today I will stand up, right? And I will be able to exercise and there won't be any pain. But it was always kind of like, don't think too far ahead. Of course I want to get better, but this is a long journey. Like at the very beginning I'm like, oh my, okay, so little steps, like what's the next little thing I have to do? It was always like that. So the journal helped me, right? Because I didn't even know all the stuff everyone was talking about. So writing everything down and what I was doing and what happened yesterday. So journaling. So, you know, even now if I go back to that journal, I'd be like, oh wow, look what I was going through back then. And then I would, you know, be like, what am I aiming for? What do I want to occur out of all of this? What's the highest possible good, or the trajectory I want to be on? And I like laser focused on that all the time. And that's what was funny, because before the hospital I was laser trajectory on finishing school, and then so much so I finished my last essay in the hospital bed because I just finished school, and then I just finished my co-op, and then I landed in the hospital. And I was like, okay, next thing. And then I thought maybe this is also a blessing, because I've just been like for several months just on the grind, like half asleep.
That's insane. So, Jason, we're gonna have to end it here. Just 4 minutes left, but before you leave, in fact, I don't know if do you have your guitar around you?
I have many. They're all facing the other way.
One thing I want you to tell people before you leave is, what's one thing, the number one thing one can do, just one sentence one can do, or 2 words one can do to stay strong in a difficult situation, in a crazy situation like you've been through. What's the number one thing? Yeah,
basically like a line like know yourself is very useful, right? So when I say that, that encompasses a lot of things like meditation or whatever, or this, right? I was singing to nurses and like, guess what song this is? And it made the hospital fun, right? So,
That's amazing.
So when
That's
I started
amazing.
to do that, I started to feel better. But initially I didn't bring my guitar because I couldn't use my hands. It was,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, my hands were all swollen, right?
Wow.
And I've gone through
Wow.
3 different iterations of messing up my hands because, like the third one after the stem cell transplant, we can maybe talk about that some other time if you want. Like it disfigured my fingernails, and like disfigured a lot of things, and it was painful.
Oh my goodness.
They had to fall out.
I think we'll have to, Jason, I think we'll have to have maybe another episode to talk about other stuff. This is crazy. So know yourself and know what works for you and know what makes you happy.
Yeah.
We got about 2 minutes left. Can you play a little bit of music for us to end it off? Just maybe something you played for the nurses.
Something I played for the nurses.
There. Thanks for listening, guys.
And then we won't get flagged because I'm doing my mantra stuff on it.
Nah, mantras, yeah. Let's hear it out. Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. Says the tip.
Some more. I don't know. It's not loud enough for some reason.
Oh, really? Maybe it's on the recording you hear it, but you don't hear it now, right? Because I just had that happen with my last live stream. It's like, can't hear you, man. But yeah, it's definitely good to be in Canada. I can't say that I may not have lived to tell the tale, right?
Yeah.
Because right now I'm on YouTube, just sometimes talking to people about their scenario. Like the scenario is like, should I do this? Should I not? But then some of the scenarios like, I don't even have that option. And that's what's scary, right?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's what makes.
Well, guys. Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for playing this. We have 1 minute left. I want to thank everyone for listening to us. Thank you so much again, Jason. If you guys want to follow Jason's story and more of what Jason does, look at Vibration of the One on Instagram. He's on other social media. I'm going to put it down in the link on the YouTube. Okay. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Jason. And peace.